We also will be streaming live on our YouTube channel. So let me just quickly set up the stream there as well. Awesome. I see a lot of introductions have already started coming in. That's great. Keep the introductions coming in, folks. If you have just joined, because I see a lot of new folks are still joining in. We will be starting the session just in a few minutes. Meanwhile, I would love to see your lovely introductions and please do introduce yourself to fellow folks here. Okay, we are also streaming live on our YouTube channel. That's great. I see a lot of folks have joined us there as well. So, folks who have joined us on our YouTube channel live, you can also give your introductions on the YouTube live chat box with your name and where are you joining us from. Let me just quickly see. I see a burst of introductions coming in on the chat here. Yeah, I can see a burst of introductions coming on the chat here. Let's see where have you joined us from. It's really hard to keep a track. You guys are pretty quick. A lot of folks are joining in. So I see someone has joined from Dublin, Ireland. Would love to know your name. Vijay Kumar from Chennai, Joshin from Melbourne, Jitendra from India, Vivandi. I see Vaishnavi from Telangana, India. And I see Ferd from Philippines, Lalit from London, and Abdul from Ottawa, Canada. I see Mayur says, hello, Mayur, would love to know where are you joining us from. And Ali from Boston, Mukesh from Bangalore. And I see someone has joined us from North Carolina. Would love to know your name. Michael from Ghana, Rani from Pune, Nalini from India, Vaishali from Ohio, and a lot of introductions coming in. It will be really hard to keep a track. Plus, please do introduce yourselves. So I am Rasha Khan. Just to introduce myself again, I'm your host for today's webinar, and I'm joining all the way from Bangalore, India, and would love to know where are you joining us from. You can drop us a hello with your name. As you can see, your fellow attendees are giving your introductions here, and I see the AI has already entered the chat already. So now let me just quickly introduce today's program preview topic here, what exactly we'll be covering. Meanwhile, you can keep continuing your amazing introductions on the chat here. So today, we'll be doing a free program preview for Purdue's Applied Gen AI Specialization certificate. Here, you'll be learning how you can stay ahead of the industry shifts which are happening with a lot of AI in the market, right? So that is what we'll be covering and how this program is really important, especially in that way, and how exactly this program helps you, keep up with these industry shifts here. So meanwhile, you are giving your amazing introductions on the chat here. And also I see introductions on the YouTube live chat box also have started coming in. Let me just quickly take you a few ground rules here. So these ground rules are to make sure that you have an amazing experience here. You do not face any issues during the webinar. So follow these and everything will be fine. So the first one here is you'll have to put down your questions in the Q&A box. Now the Q&A box is just beside the chat box. And why the Q&A box? Why not the chat box? Because chat box is completely blowing up with your messages and we have high attendance here, folks. So that is why the Q&A box. Speaker Basil Daklala will be paying close attention to the Q&A box to address your queries whenever he gets the time. And the session is being recorded in case you want to go through the recording of the session once again, in case you miss anything. So it's okay, don't worry. You can expect a follow-up email from us with the recording link to view after the webinar. And this webinar is of 60 minutes of duration. So post-webinar, you'll be receiving the recording link. And for webinar certificate, for attending this webinar, you'll have to request a proof of attendance for this webinar in the post-webinar survey pop-up. This is only for folks who have joined us on Zoom. And this webinar, when it ends in 60 minutes, you will get a pop-up by Zoom which says post-webinar survey, and it will ask you what name exactly, full name you would want to see on the certificate. So we will need that data from you in order to send you the personalized certificate for attending this webinar. So yeah, these are three simple, basically easy ground rules here. In case I see a lot of new folks have just joined in while I was talking about the ground rules. I will just nudge about the ground rules on the chat here as well. I'll remind you what are the ground rules on the chat as well throughout the session and also towards the end as well. Also, just want to check, is my voice audible to you folks? You can reply by responding yes or no on the chat. Just doing a sound check here, yeah, just to make sure that we are audible to you. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, folks. And this program is powered by Simplilearn, World's number one online bootcamp. We have been in the digital skill training space for more than a decade now. And we are very proud that we have been transforming lives by empowering people via these digital skills like business analytics, data science, AI, machine learning, Gen I being the topic of the session today, cybersecurity, cloud computing, and many more such amazing categories. We have advanced over 5 lakh plus careers in over 150 plus countries, and we have 800 plus amazing qualified trainers, who do an amazing job for these programs here to make sure you basically are well versed with these skills which you come and take up through these programs and that help you in your professional world as well. Now, moving on to the next slide here, talking about agenda of today's session. So today's session, the first and the most important agenda is about you, getting to know a little bit about you, how we can help you out in your generative AI career through this program. And the second agenda of today's session is an introduction to generative AI. Basically, how welcome to the future of AI, what exactly is happening in generative AI. So for folks who are not aware of it, so we will do an introduction of that. And then we will move on to the program review. As this particular webinar is a program review, so we'll be talking about the Purdue University's Applied Generative AI Specialization program here in detail. We'll be taking you through the learning path of the program. We'll be talking about what skills are covered, what tools are covered, what exactly Simplilearn provides as a job assist service, what all things you'll be getting out of this program in detail. And then we will be moving on to the enrollment steps of the program quickly, based on the interest you share towards enrollment in this program. And we'll be sharing with you the program fee and the program upcoming cohort which you can join. And then towards the end, the Q&A part. So obviously you might have a lot of questions for our expert speaker here, Basil, who I will be introducing soon. So we will be taking questions towards the end. So in case you have any questions, go and put it on in the Q&A box and have a little patience because speaker, whenever the time allows the speaker will go and basically answer your questions in between. And if not, we'll answer it towards the end. So it's okay. I see a lot of questions about the certificate here, folks. I just will respond to that. So for the certificate for attending this webinar, you will have to stay till the end. So the webinar is of 60 minutes duration. And once the webinar ends, immediately you will get a pop-up by Zoom which says pop-up webinar survey. And in that, it will ask you a simple question to enter your full name for the webinar certificate. So you will have to do that in order to get the webinar certificate. In case you have missed any of the ground rules, please do not worry. I will nudge about it on the chat here throughout the session. And I will answer it as well in case you have any doubts about all these things. And also towards the end as well. So please don't worry. I've gotten you covered. Now moving on to the first poll of the session. As I have basically mentioned earlier, the first and the most important agenda is about you, getting to know a little bit about you. So let's start with a quick poll here. So this poll says that how many years of experience do you currently have? So how many years of work experience, a general work experience do you currently have? So I've launched this quick poll here, which has 4 quick options which you can choose from, which one is the most suitable for you. So first option here is currently studying. Second one, 0 to 3 years. Third one, 3 to 5 years. And the fourth one, more than 5 years. I see most of you have already started responding to the poll. You folks are pretty quick here, and that's great. And folks who have joined us live on our YouTube channel, I see your introductions on the YouTube live chat box. Shakti from UK, Shahrukh from Pakistan, Janit from Dubai, Meera from India. You folks can respond on the chat, folks. Folks who have joined us on YouTube live chat box. Awesome. Let me just quickly also put down the ground rules on the chat for you. Meanwhile, we'll give 10 seconds for this poll because I see most of you have responded for the poll already. but let's give some more time for other folks, who are still responding. Yes. I've put the webinar certificate and the recording message on the chat because I know that a lot of you folks have just joined. So it's okay. Please don't worry. You have not missed out on anything. We are just starting off. Awesome. Last 5 seconds for the poll here, folks. How many years of experience do you currently have? You can select the most suitable option for you from the poll here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me end the poll and also share the results with you folks here. So let's see what have you voted for. I see 52% of you have more than 5 years experience. Interesting. That's very interesting. 23% of you are currently studying. 19% of you have 0 to 3 years of experience. And 6% of you have 3 to 5 years of experience. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That definitely gives us and our speaker an understanding on, how to tailor his responses according to the, experience of the crowd who have joined us. Thank you so much for that. Now, let me quickly introduce you to our speaker, Basil Rakalala here, who will be the expert speaker for today's program review session. Basil here is a data analytics and a senior engineering manager. He basically is leading 3 teams in marketing, growth, analytics, reporting, and visualization, and DQA and automation. And he also has experience in building advanced analytics applications for internal business users and healthcare clients, and has conducted training sessions for 500 plus employees and consultants in the industry. And he's also a Simplilearn trainer for Caltech, UT Dallas, and Purdue University program. So today's program is the Purdue one. So Basil, I would like to welcome you to this. We have a very interesting program preview session lined up for the Gen I one. I see the crowd is also very curious and very active in response, and we have gotten a great turnout here. I'm pretty sure they would love to know a little bit about you from you as well before we start.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Rasha, for the introduction. Very glad to be on this platform and excited to talk about today's program. We have a lot to unpack. I've been through the progression and the evolution of this program, how it came a long way, and there are a lot of components that we continue to improve and establish for this program. And I'm very excited to share some of the components that will really put you on the cutting edge of the technology that it uses for generative AI and machine learning in general. But just to quickly about me, I do have, as Rasha mentioned, I have experience with managing advanced data analytics and data science, machine learning teams. And on top of that, some back-end work in terms of automation and data engineering.
Thank you so much, Basil, for your introduction. We will be starting the program review, but before that, let's start with the second agenda of today's session, talking about an introduction to generative AI. Welcome to the future of AI. So starting with, I'm pretty sure, the very basic question, what exactly is generative AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So generative AI, as the name entails, so you have the first piece is generative, where you are generating content. And then the other component, which is AI, stands for artificial intelligence. And I think most of us nowadays are familiar with that topic. It's a hot topic just mainly because we've been seeing a lot of examples in our world of how generative AI and AI in general has been transforming the world with its capability, its intelligence, and ability to replicate the human intelligence. And we can see that there's a major impact on the global economy, especially in the past couple of years when ChatGPT and similar products were rolled out. And just something to add here is that some of the things that we want to discuss, and I will expand on these topics and how it works. In this course, we aim to look into the main engines that drive generative AI. In this type of study, we classify generative AI in two main categories. So you have GANs, which stands for Generative Adversarial Networks, and VAE models, which relies on variational autoencoders. And both of those are capable of dealing with large data sets, and that's what, if you heard a terminology of LLMs, stands for large language models, and those rely on large data sets and huge number of parameters, trillions of parameters that will help generative AI systems to give you either a prediction or generate content based on your prompt.
Thank you so much for sharing your comment on what exactly is generative AI. Moving on to the next slide here, how generative AI is changing the 2024 economy. So the global demand for AI talent, businesses worldwide are increasingly seeking experts in generative AI for innovation and competitive advantage. And the AI market is expanding, as we know. The generative AI market is rapidly growing and expected to reach $667.9 billion by 2030 and is reflecting a CGR of 27.7%. The investment surge here, so the global AI funding has hit a $93.5 billion of investment in 2021. And that is how we saw the surge in the AI in the market, and also has been significantly rising from the previous years, showing robust growth in AI technology and investment here. And I'm pretty sure every time we talk about AI or any other category of programs, there's always this question: is AI going to take away my job? So, Basil, if you can share a comment, what has been the impact of generative AI on jobs, and is it really going to take away your job?
The answer is, for now, I don't believe so. Actually, the main part that I always try to explain for a lot of people who are seeking the understanding of how generative AI works and how AI works in general, we're still at the early stages of AI and its level of intelligence. When we take the course, you will learn about the different classifications of AI capabilities. And we're sitting at the very first layer of AI capability where it's able to replicate certain human tasks, but it lacks the ability to have thought-provoking activities or having philosophical element to it, or come up with brand new idea that is not generated based on the collective thoughts of human beings or the collected data. And that's where we're still standing. We haven't jumped into that territory yet. And scientists basically classified that ability as, they call it super AI. And I think the main thing that we can focus on here is we understand the impact and the importance of using generative AI. And with that, it brings up a lot of opportunities for people who want to help leverage AI and embed it in companies or in different industries. So things like task automation, AI deployment. If you think about it, I mentioned earlier, AI relies on large volumes of data. So it is going to require very smart and experienced people to clean the data, prepare it, and send it to the generative AI model in order to learn on what matters the most. So there's so much noise in data, and that data needs to be cleaned. So short answer, Russia, is I don't see AI replacing a lot of jobs in terms of the things that require creativity and require building the foundations and platforms. You also have a lot of industries that require the human decision-making, and we're not there yet in terms of replacing those capabilities.
That's a relief, I would say, I think for a lot of people. Moving on to the career opportunities the generative AI is going to open up, for folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are a few, I would say, high-level classification of positions or jobs. And if you go to on LinkedIn, you search for these jobs, they exist. And a lot of them have some good description. I highly encourage you, if you want to make a career move or pivot, or you're interested in these topics, I highly encourage you to go on job blogs to understand the requirements and whatnot. But the course will prepare you to have an understanding of these positions. And there is almost a new position that pops up every few months that deals with the revolution of AI. But in short, I can talk about these quickly. Machine learning engineers, those are the people that help deploy machine learning systems and optimize them. And then there's also another concept, which is data scientists. That's the third bullet point. Data scientists and machine learning engineers, there's almost like a gray line between the two. But if I want to differentiate between the two positions, data scientists always deal with the exploratory aspect of machine learning. This is where, if you're a data scientist, you are basically being a scientist, you're a researcher, and you are experimenting with different ideas. And once you find an idea to work well in theory, so you convert it from theory to a proof of concept, you present that proof of concept to your stakeholders, then you can transfer it to a team of machine learning engineers that can deploy that model for you. We also have AI research scientists. This is kind of similar to the data scientists, but they are more focused on the deep learning aspect of it. Data scientist has a very broad spectrum, and there's also statistical analysis associated with it. NLP engineer, this is on high demand now, mainly because of the large language models that we are seeing becoming very popular. NLP engineers, NLP stands for natural language processing. And a lot of the text classification, text manipulation, or think of it as a lot of text-based machine learning algorithms require clean data. And you'll get to learn about some of these NLP techniques, about how you can prepare text-based data for your AI or machine learning system. There's also computer vision. Think of computer vision as the name entails. It deals with image processing, image classification, object detection. AI ethics officer, this is also on a high demand because you are seeing now, you're witnessing the power of AI and how the capability and influence is expanding day by day. And therefore, we need to have people who are experts in the field, also in terms of ethics and how to deploy certain models, how to avoid being biased for a certain group in your population. So a lot of ethical concerns and issues may arise when you deploy your machine learning model. AI product manager, those people, they don't have much of technical experience, but they know how things work behind the engines or in the system, so behind the scenes, and they help manage the technical aspect and the teams that produce the AI products. Last piece here before we jump to the next slide is AI solutions architects. Those are the people who help build what we call a pipeline for AI data consumption and then data providing. And think of this as two components. You want to have a pipeline where it ingests the data, then sends an output at the end.
Thank you so much, Basil, for sharing this career opportunities in the generative AI space. We have started getting a lot of questions here. I can see in the Q&A box, we'll be addressing them whenever the speaker gets time. But before that, now that we've talked about generative AI, what's exactly happening in the generative AI space, how exactly it has impacted the market here. So you're here because you're interested in generative AI career. So we would love to know what exactly is stopping you from becoming a generative AI expert. I'm just launching a quick poll here to understand that. This poll has 4 options here. This one is a multiple choice poll because there can be multiple concerns or challenges, right, when it comes to pursuing a career in generative AI or becoming a Gen AI expert or master. So you can choose from the options here. This one is a multiple choice one, as I mentioned. So I'm just reading all these options for you. For folks who have joined us on YouTube as well, you can let us know by responding on the YouTube live chat box. So the first option here is I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. And the second one, I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. The third one, I wouldn't get the practical exposure I need to become job ready. And the fourth one, my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. So I see most of you have already started responding for the poll. You guys are pretty quick, I must say. So we'll give it 10 seconds more before we move on to the program introduction. I see a few questions coming on the chat box as well. Folks, please do move your questions from chat box to Q&A box for our speaker, because the speaker will be paying attention to the Q&A box. Because of high attendance and high chat volume, we actually might miss your queries on the chat box. So, and we won't want to miss your queries. We would love to address all of them. So please make sure to put down your questions in the Q&A box. People have already started sending their questions in the Q&A box already. Awesome. Last 5 seconds for the poll here. What's stopping you from becoming a Gen AI expert? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me end the poll and share the results with you folks and our speaker. So let's see what have you voted for. 60% of the votes are for I wouldn't get the practical exposure I need to become job ready. 31% of the votes are for I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. And 13% of the votes are for I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. And 4% of you have voted for my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. That makes sense because I think more than 50% of you have more than 5 years of experience. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. This definitely will give our speaker an understanding, how to tailor his responses, when it comes to these options. And if these options do not cover your challenges or concerns, the Q&A box is open for you. You can go and put down your questions there. Now, let me just quickly introduce you to the Purdue's University's Applied Generative AI Specialization program here. So this program is in collaboration with Microsoft Azure, and it comes with a comprehensive curriculum. We'll be talking about the learning path in very much detail in the upcoming slides. You get to learn to build generative AI-enabled applications through industry-relevant hands-on projects. I think we've gotten the highest number of votes for, I wouldn't get the practical experience to become already. So we have those industry-relevant projects, which we'll be talking about in detail in the upcoming slides, how you can utilize those projects to your advantage here to showcase that experience in generative AI. Also, you get access to online live virtual classrooms with the peer and instructor interaction, where you not only get recorded basically sessions, but you actually get to interact with the instructor and also your fellow students. And the program duration for this specialization is of 4 months, and you can just complete it by giving 5 to 10 hours per week. In case you're working professional, which we saw a lot of you, this makes it very flexible to fit your lifestyle and schedule. Also, talking about the Purdue University advantage. So the Purdue here is a 150-year-old university established by a land grant from the state of Indiana. Purdue has evolved into a prestigious institution renowned for its commitment to innovation, research, education, and it consistently ranks in one of the top 5 public universities, US universities here, and has produced Nobel Prize winners as well. So having a Purdue University certificate on your CV definitely amps up your profile, definitely gives you that contribution which you can showcase, anywhere in the world here. Now talking about the eligibility and the prerequisites for taking up this program. So you need to have a basic understanding of concepts of mathematics, programming concepts and mathematics, and you need to be at least 18 years old and have a high school diploma or equivalent to start with to take up this program. Also, it's preferred to have 2+ years of professional experience, but it is not a compulsion. It is not mandatory. So if you have it, that's great. You can use it to your advantage. If not, it's totally okay as well. So moving on, how this program exactly prepares you. Starting with the skills which are covered in this program. So Basil, can you shed some light on the skills which are covered in this Purdue's Gen AI specialization program here?
Yeah, absolutely. And this course is going to be focus on using Python for building the generative AI applications. And the reason why we chose Python is because it is now the most popular language to deploy machine learning and AI applications. And with that, you will find so much help in the communities online, plus its flexibility and ease of use to be able to learn. So especially for the ones who are just scratching the surface about developing applications, learning programming, and how to deploy machine learning models, we chose Python as the foundation for this. But what we want to do also is we want to give you a nice introduction to learn about the foundation of building applications in Python. So things like learning about how you can build classes, build functions in Python, custom functions, learning about data structures in Python. Those are going to help you understand the concepts that we will use to establish AI applications. And then we're going to move on to explainable AI. This is a very fun course. I like talking and teaching about this course because it helps understand how you can, number one, learn and understand about what's happening in your machine learning model. And plus, as a data scientist, let's say, or machine learning practitioner that deployed the model, you need to have the ability to explain your model. There are a lot of situations that we call when you build an AI model, there is a concept we call black box, where you did build your model, but you don't understand how the output is being derived in the model. And there are specific techniques in explainable AI that will help you understand how the data is being interpreted and processed to make a decision from, so how the machine is making that decision. And that will help you ensure that you are monitoring your algorithm, you're making sure there's no bias in your algorithm, also be able to publish and explain your model to your stakeholders. Prompt engineering, we all understand now it's becoming a very important skill set, the ability to effectively ask or provide instructions to the prompt in the generative AI application. We're going to look into VAEs, variational autoencoders. This is a type of generative AI that learns the data representations and help with content creation. Same thing with GANs, which stands for Generative Adversarial Networks. We're going to study those in detail. And there are also generative AI approach where you have a concept of two networks or two models that compete to create realistic images or data. We'll also learn about transformers. If you're familiar, we're all familiar with ChatGPT. That's the T in GPT, right? It stands for transformers. And that's a type of neural network architecture that is powerful for a lot of AI tasks. We're going to look at also recurrent neural networks. So that will help us understand why certain large language model companies went the route with using transformers versus classic recurrent neural networks, because transformers are more effective and faster for large sets of data. We'll also talk about LLM architecture on a high level and low level, because we want to understand some of the main components that help build a successful text generation algorithm. And then we're going to look into attention mechanism, which is also a main component in ChatGPT, which is a technique where transformers can focus on relevant parts of our input data. If I want to give you a quick example here, is that think about a sentence where it has multiple elements, and regardless of the language, that sentence, sometimes the order of the words is different between different languages, right? So when you try to do translation, for example, you need to pay attention to the elements in the sentence that help you get a clear understanding, whether it's an expression or slang, etc. I think the rest of the concepts, I already explained those at the previous slides, but things like the application development, the generative AI governance. I know there was a question earlier asked in the Q&A about ethics and then governance. We'll talk about those in detail during the course.
Thank you so much, Vasil, for taking us through the skills which are covered in the program. Now, moving on to the most important part, the tools, right? The tools which are covered in this GenAI book.
Yeah, absolutely. So to highlight some of the tools here, as I mentioned, Python is going to be the driving power of a lot of the applications we'll be using. So when we want to connect, for example, to ChatGPT API or Bard API, and now it's called Gemini, by the way, so they rebranded. When we want to connect to these tools or utilize them, we will be connecting through Python. So think of Python as the tool that is connecting all the boxes that you see on here. And then we're going to be utilizing things like LangChain, which is a workflow designer for generative AI application. There's also Chroma that provides data storage for AI workflow. Hugging Face is one of my favorite platforms. It has a community of AI trained model. For the ones who are curious about AI, I highly encourage checking out Hugging Face. It also has a nice platform where they rate and classify different LLMs and AI models.
Thank you so much, Basil, for talking about the tools here. Now, moving on to the learning part of the program, how exactly this Purdue University's GenAI Specialization program builds the learner's skills step by step. So I think we'll be covering a lot more here, talking about the learning part of the program.
Yeah, absolutely. So in essence, and I think I've talked about Python fundamentals, we are going to be exploring programming languages on a high level just to understand the structure, because regardless to the position that you will be seeking, whether it's an AI, machine learning engineer, data scientist, data engineer that will be helping machine learning deployment teams, you need to have a good understanding of how Python works as an object-oriented language, okay? And how you can utilize some of its powerful functionality like inheritance, encapsulation. So we will learn about these concepts. And throughout that, we'll be working on practical projects like building a shopping application, for example, a shopping cart application, and so on. And then the next phase is we're going to touch on the essentials of generative AI, all the components that I mentioned earlier, how they work together, and how you could produce successful prompt so you can get the best results from an LLM like ChatGPT. Next will be advanced generative AI. So looking at those models in detail, looking at their architecture, understanding how they work, looking at the neural networks that support that architecture, and how the data feeds into the architecture as a whole. Next, we'll look into building the LLM applications. So this is specific to text generation. And in the previous course, we'll look into all generative AI. So whether it's image processing or text processing or even audio, regardless of the medium, we'll look at those in general. But we are going to move to more specialized field, which is LLM, which is products like Gemini, and now Facebook has its own Chat GPT version. If you use WhatsApp, WhatsApp now has an AI assistant that can communicate with you. But this is the program in a nutshell. We'll also talk at the end about generative AI governance. We'll talk about the ethics, compliance. There are two main organizations for AI governance, one in Europe and one in the United States. We need to understand the regulations and some of the specifications that they require. Also, we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts in terms of avoiding being biased to a specific group in your data or your generative AI, and so on.
Thank you so much, Basil, for taking us through the steps here, how exactly the program builds the learner skills, generative AI skills here. Also talking about the electives, the Microsoft Azure partnership, which we have talked about earlier. So you get Microsoft Azure AI Fundamentals Generative AI certificate as well, which I'll be sharing, showcasing you how exactly looks like. So talking about the Microsoft Azure advantage here. So Basil, would you take us through how exactly our learner can utilize the Microsoft Azure collaboration and advantage through this program?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of you know that Microsoft has been also on the cutting edge with large language models and AI in general. And because Microsoft has a large ecosystem that provides solutions for cloud-based applications. So think of this about Microsoft Azure. That's the product that provides cloud services. With that, Microsoft provides pipelines to build pipelines for what we call microservices, for example, where you can have multiple applications and websites communicate and transfer data. And on top of that, they provide services to deploy machine learning models and also do analysis and evaluation for those machine learning models. So we're going to be learning some of these techniques in the lens of using Microsoft Azure products.
Thank you so much for shedding some light on the Microsoft Azure advantage here. Also, talking about the industry projects they get to work on, we saw a lot of concerns and votes for, I wouldn't get the practical exposure, I need to become job ready. So, how exactly, first of all, how exactly the industry projects are helpful in showcasing that practical experience? And then what are the projects, which are covered in this program? If you can talk more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that we really strive on, and we are very proud to not only talk about the concepts with a lot of examples, but also provide real world projects, real world exercises. And those come in twofolds. You have the projects that you're going to be working on in order to get the certificate. So this is like the course end project. And on top of that, we have what we call a running capstone project. This is a project that if I teach the course, for example, I'll be helping you. We're going to collaborate and work together. So we'll have also breakout session where we give you the assignment for the project and the data set, and then you'll be working on that. But just to talk about a few topics that will cover different industries in these projects. First of all, for Python foundations, we have a project that helps you build a shopping application where you can build your own inventory, regardless to the shopping, regardless to the type of products that you want to sell, whether it's for clothing or it's like an eBay store. But the first course about Python Foundation is going to help you understand how you can build a shopping application and be able to check out and do transaction. And then the second one is another good example is the car rental platform. Similar mechanism where you build a platform, people can utilize Python object-oriented language to programming language to build a car rental program. Also, building an AI-powered HR assistant, which will help look into HR data, so employees' information like salary, employee churn, things like how often do certain employees leave the company and experience. So we're going to look at attributes, so we call them features. So we use features to make prediction whether a specific group of employees are going to leave the company or not. So you can see here that the span of these projects covers a lot of different industries. So you have artificial intelligence for logo design or media in general. You have artificial intelligence for financial analysis. I think someone asked a question about how this prepares you for the finance industry. We have a lot of applications for the financial industry, healthcare, manufacturing, etc.
Thank you so much, Basil, for shedding some light on these industry projects. So these are some interesting industry projects you can take up through this program here. Moving on to the live tour of the learning environment. Basil, if you can just share your screen and show us like any of the programs, how exactly the learning environment looks like when they take up a program and Simplilearn. If you can do that quickly for 2 minutes, that will be great.
Absolutely. So let me share my screen and I can walk you through it and the platform in general. So this is the Simplilearn platform. If you have an account, you should be able to log in after you register. And if you're aligned or registered, if you registered into multiple courses, you'll see the list of all of your courses here. Let's say, for example, we want to pick one of the courses that we have. This one, for example, here, the AI and machine learning course. So once you click on the course, you will see, or what we call cohort. So cohort is basically a bundle of multiple courses. And each course has its own flow and projects. And you need to pass the project in order to move on to the next stage. And it doesn't have to be just a project. Some courses will require different things like finishing an exam, for example. But to give you a quick walkthrough about how you can navigate through this, you'll see we have multiple courses, right? Each block represents a course, and we recommend taking these sequentially. In fact, if you want to leverage the live sessions along with the self-paced sessions, you have to take those in a sequential manner. And what we do at Simplilearn, we provide 3 ways to transfer this knowledge to you. The first one is a lot of context in forms of PDFs, textbooks, and Python code. And the second one is your live sessions where you can join a session live with me, for example, if I'm the instructor of the course, where I can explain these concepts from my perspective, provide my expertise. And the third one is there's a self-paced program where we have pre-recorded videos that will explain the concept in general and also talk about examples. But I always recommend doing both the self-paced and the live sessions. That way you can ask questions live. That's your opportunity to ask questions and get them answered. And if you want to access one of the courses, notice here that some of them do require, you have self-learning and live classes, and then you have labs where you can attend these labs. Also, something, I'm glad this pop-up showed up here. So we all know, and I've noted that at the beginning, AI is evolving by the day. Every day there's new technologies, new libraries, or new functionalities that are being rolled out in the market. So what we do is we have constant updates that get pushed into our course, and you are able to update your course. That way you can get access to the new content. But if I want to walk you through this program, for example, you'll see you have multiple options here. You have the self-learning, which gives you a guide of, you can see here, it's broken down by topic on the right. So you see lesson 1, 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, and so on. And each lesson has its subcomponent. So think of this as similar to like a YouTube playlist where it'll walk you through the topic piece by piece and it'll expand on it. And this is where you can join the live class. So on the left, if you want to join the live class, it'll give you a schedule here and it'll tell you about the live class. Next, you have the assessment. And this is where we have our project end, the course end project. So you can see here the creating shopping app that I mentioned earlier and the car rental project. This is for Python foundations. And then this is the reference materials that I mentioned earlier, where you can download what we call Jupyter notebooks. This is a platform where you can execute your code and see its results, and then ebooks. So you'll see that we have variety of content that we can share to you. So you can have it, save it, and take it with you. You can use it at work or use it in your personal project.
Thank you so much, Basil, for taking us through the learning environment here. How exactly, when you take up a program, how exactly it looks like on Simplilearn. We also have, 24/7 support tools, which you can access in case you have any doubts in navigating through the learning environment as well. You can, use those support tools as well. So yeah, that is just to sum up the learning environment. Now, moving on, I think we have gotten questions about the university faculty here. So we have global leaders as program advisors. Here, Ankit Vermani, who is the data AMI leader at Google, is one of the global leaders here as program advisors. Armando Galiana, who is the founder and CEO at Ubuntu Technologies, is a seasoned data science leader as well. And Raghav Goel, who's a generative AI and data science consultant. And Amitendra Srivastav, who's the chief data scientist at Intellica, who they make sure that the Simplilearn is delivering as per standards of the Purdue universities here. And we have such amazing instructors, more instructors who are a part of the program as well, equally. Sharing the learner outcomes with you. Interestingly, the learner outcomes, have in this particular category have consisted of learners, coming from, these amazing industries like IT, software, manufacturing, pharma, healthcare, BFSI, and also these diverse companies like Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Netflix, Amazon, Nvidia, Bosch, KPMG, just to name a few of them. But that does not mean they only come from these companies. It does not restrict that. There are 100 more companies they come from. These are just to name, few of the world class organizations, they come from. Now, talking about the Simplilearn's career access services also, which helps you with your job search. For the US market, we have partnered with Talent Inc. here, where you get access to one-on-one interview services with Top Resume, Top Interview, sorry, and you get a resume makeover from Top Resume. You get to reach out to numerous employers with Resume Rabbit as an access through Talent Inc. And also you have a complete candidate confidentiality that is assured. So this is for folks who join us from the US region. They get the Simplilearn's career assist services in partnership with Talent Inc. Now, for folks who join us from India, so here also we provide, a Simplilearn's job assist program where we have partnered with IIM Jobs here. So through this, you get IIM Jobs Pro membership of 6 months for free. You also get Spotlight on IIM Jobs for highlighting your profile to recruiters. You also get resume building services. An SME is assigned to you, which actually helps you with creating a resume based on the skill set or job role you're applying for specifically. And within a week or two, basically the draft is prepared, and there's a continuous feedback session as well for resume through in this partnerships with IM Jobs. Now, just to summarize, we have talked about a lot of things here. Just to summarize at the end of it all, what exactly we'll be getting from this Purdue University's Generative AI Specialization certificate. So you'll be getting a program commission certificate, which I'll be showing you next from Purdue University Online and Simplilearn. You'll be gaining exposure to ChatGPT, OpenAI, Hugging Face, Rally E2, and other prominent tools which we have talked about in detail. Also, in-depth knowledge of generative AI, prompt engineering, and ChatGPT. And 50 plus hours of core curriculum is delivered by live online classes by industry experts, which Basil has talked about that most of it is live classes where you get to interact with the instructor. So those are not just recorded videos. You actually have an interaction with the instructor and also your fellow students as well to keep it engaging, keep it interesting while you are on your learning journey. You also get to build generative AI-enabled applications through hands-on projects. We have talked about all these industry projects, interesting ones, which actually help you build a portfolio and also showcase the work experience which you demand. Might be applying for a job which is related to AI to upgrade. You also earn an official trophy and badges from Microsoft Azure AI Fundamental Generative AI certificate. I'll be showing the certificate as well, how it looks like. And on the Microsoft Lean portal. This is for the Microsoft Azure partnership we have. You get access to live online masterclasses delivered by Purdue faculty and staff. I think we had a question about this. Who exactly will be taking the classes? So it will be one of the Purdue faculties and a mixture of other global leaders and advisors which I've introduced already. And also Simplilearn's job assist services, which I've talked about. We have a partnership with Talent Inc. for US region and for Indian region from IM Jobs, which help you get noticed by top hiring companies, and also access to Purdue Alumni Association membership on program completion as well. So you get to be a part of the Purdue alumni. Again, like that is one of the advantage of taking up this course by Purdue. And also there will be an online convocation towards the end. Here you not only can invite your closest friends and family, but your far relatives and your far friends and everyone here. That makes it very interesting and a special memory to remember. Now, let me just quickly show you the Microsoft Azure AI Fundamentals Generative AI certificate, which you'll be getting. This is the certificate, which this will be given to you by Microsoft. You will be getting official trophy and badges hosted on the Microsoft Learn portal from this program, and also acquire an official Microsoft Learning path completion transcript as well. And also the university certificate. You'll be receiving a joint certificate from Purdue University and Simplilearn for this program in Applied Generative AI Specialization. And also the master classes will be delivered by faculty and staff, which I've already mentioned. And also Purdue alumni membership. We cannot forget that. I have to mention that again and again, being one of the perks here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just quickly going to also show the program page here. So I'm sharing the link towards the program on the chat here. And I will just quickly open the program page also for you to just to quickly browse through this program page here. So this one is for the Purdue University Applied Generative AI Specialization program, which I've just shown you in collaboration with Microsoft Azure as a partner. You can go and download the syllabus here as well. You can see the program is a 4 months duration, and all the things why you join this program. We have talked about all the things here, the key features of the program which we have covered, the certificates you'll be getting from this program, the Microsoft one and the Purdue University one, which I've shown you already. And then, yeah, like all the details, the learning part of the program, you can again like download the syllabus here, and what are the tools covered, industry projects covered, all the things we have talked about, the faculty here as well. And based on the region you're joining us from, this link will definitely help you in providing much more details of, for your own region. So yeah, going back to the slide here, now that we have talked about the program in very much detail, we would love to know, are you interested in enrolling into the Purdue University's online Applied Generative AI Specialization program? You can share your responses yes for the poll I'm going to launch right now. And by sharing your responses yes, after this, I'll be quickly taking you through enrollment steps, what exactly happens after this, and what is the program fee, when is the upcoming cohort you can join. And after this, the learning consultants from Simplilearn will be reaching out to you and even taking you through a much more detailed walkthrough of the program as well, in case you have any questions even after that. For the link which I've shared, you can download the syllabus from that in order to basically ask any questions you have about the program as well before taking it up. So now I've launched the quick poll here. This is to understand your interest in enrolling into the Purdue University Online's Applied Generative AI Specialization program. You can share your responses yes to share your interest towards enrollment. We also do have a lot of financial options available. I see a lot of questions if we can go for monthly installment payment. So yes, we do have that region wise. You will also find on the link which I've shared on the chat here, where it will show you the financial partners we have, where you can use for choosing the EMI options or financial options, in case you cannot make the payment at one go as well. So that is also covered. In case we saw that a lot of you are working professionals. So in case you already have an employer, you can also ask your employer for a tuition reimbursement as well. So we have all these processes which will make it very easy for you in case you're not able to, do the payment in one go, but you're very much interested in enrolling to the program. So that is completely okay. You can also, talk about this once the learning consultants from Simplilearn, when they get in touch with you. So they can, share your queries about this, and they will definitely help you with a solution, which will be the right financial option for you to go for, and basically help you with anything related to the program as well. I see most of you have already started responding to the poll here. I think I'll give it 10-15 seconds more for a lot of folks who are still basically thinking about it. The folks who have joined us live on our YouTube channel as well. For you folks, I see interest coming towards enrollment there as well. So what you can do is you will be seeing a link on the top of the YouTube live chat box, which says enroll to the Applied Generative AI Specialization program. Just click on that and it will take you to the program page, which I have just shown you live. And in that you can go and you can just share your few basic details. like phone number, email, and you can just submit your interest towards enrollment. And similarly, the similar process will be followed where the learning consultants from Simply will be reaching out to you. And similar process of the enrollment steps and other options as well. In case you are watching us on our YouTube, you can also go to the description, and on the top you will again find the program page link of Purdue University's Applied Gen AI Specialization program, and you can click on that and again follow the similar process. I see most of you have responded for the poll here. That's great. I see a lot of interest here, but the polls are still moving. So I think I'll give it 10 seconds more and then I'll be ending the poll now because we actually have exceeded the time a bit, just to keep that in mind. Awesome. Last 5 seconds for the poll here, folks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll. The polls are still moving. Let me just give 10 seconds more. Folks, if you are still responding, these are the last 10 seconds for the poll. I cannot extend it more. So last 10 seconds, are you interested in enrolling into the Purdue University's online Applied Gen AI Specialization program? Please quickly go and respond as yes. I will be ending the poll now in next 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I will be ending the poll now. So sorry, folks. I still see the poll are moving, but I will be ending the poll now. Every time I try to end the poll, they're again like going and responding to the poll. Okay. Fine. Last 5 seconds for the poll here. Fine, folks. I will have to end the poll because we have exceeded the time limit of the webinar. I'm so sorry. If you still have interest and have not been able to vote on this poll, I'm sharing the link towards the program on the chat. You can go and do that. Follow the same process which I've shown you. So let me just quickly take you to the enrollment steps here. So the step one here is you'll have to submit an application to us at askus@simplilearn.net, and based on that, your application will be going for review with the eligibility and the prerequisites which I've shared earlier for the program. Excuse me. And based on that, you'll be getting admissions offer from learning consultants from Simplilearn. They will be reaching out to you. And the next upcoming cohort of the class is the classes will be starting on May 25th this year. And the introductory classes, the induction classes for this one will be starting on April 23rd. Now, for Indian candidates, the fee here is 1,49,999 INR, including the taxes, the GST. And for US candidates here, the fee here is of 4,000 USD dollars. And basically, even after this, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net. Now, quickly would like to move on to the Q&A part. Basil, I know that we have exceeded by a few minutes. Is it okay? Like we'll take just 5 minutes to address. I know we've gotten a lot of questions, but we can just browse
Absolutely.
through it and address, few of the most important queries. That will be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm going to do, to be fair, I know we have plenty. I'm going to answer the ones that are most common because I did see some people ask the same question. So the first one, are live classes recorded such that we can restudy content? Yes, they are. And this is something I always recommend to my students. I always encourage them to rewatch the recording. We cover a lot of content per setting or per session. So that's one of the good features in Simplilearn. The second question is, do we get project for each module, or will get one final project for all modules completely? Both, actually. So you'll get a project for every course or module, and you'll get to choose one out of 2 or 3 options for those projects. And towards the end of the course, there will be a final capstone project that will cover all of the topics that you have studied in the course of 2 or 3 or 4 months, depending on the length of the course. There was another question, will this make me ready for to get a job after certification? Well, this one is a bit tricky to answer depending on the market situation. But what I can tell you from experience, I've seen some of my students get a job after the course, even in the middle of the course, where they were able to showcase some of the projects and the concept they worked on. So there's big potential for getting a job. Now, again, things cannot be promised 100%. It depends on your country, your market, and the time the timing of the year. But yeah, so there's a lot of benefits in this course. Another question, we can answer one of the technical questions. Someone asked, what's the difference between ML and AI engineer? Just think of AI as the high-level umbrella that includes all the different fields in machine learning. So you have deep learning, machine learning, semi-AI type of applications where they have some rule-based aspect to them, and some machine learning aspects together. So think of the AI engineer as a much broader architect than an ML engineer. ML engineer is focusing specifically on the machine learning model deployment. Let's see, do we have more time, Russia, to answer a couple more questions?
Up to you, Vasil. Like if you have time, then we
Okay.
can continue. Else we
Yeah,
can.
sure. Let me pick a couple more questions. I think someone asked, someone is currently taking one of the courses and they're talking about hallucination. Hallucination is a big problem that is arising now with the field of LLM. And you cannot eliminate hallucination 100%, but I can tell you there are a few techniques that you can use to mitigate hallucination. And this is basically for the ones that don't have experience with hallucination. This is when this is when after you send the prompt, the LLM is giving you an answer that may make sense, but it's actually false information. In short, the way to mitigate this is there's a technique that we call RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. And that technique is used by a lot of companies that are embedding LLMs into their systems. Basically, you can take off the last layer of the LLM and have it get trained on its data. That way you can provide more insightful information and reduce the hallucination. Another technique is having healthy data management, structured data, refine and improve your prompt engineering. Also doing constant fact checking and validation to the data and the results and the training of the model. So there are a few techniques where we can reduce hallucination. Let's do one more question. Let me scroll down here. Someone asked, I'm a manager, would this course be beneficial? It's going to depend on your involvement with your team. Are you a manager for just the projects and the efforts of the team? Because I can tell you my experience as a manager. For me, I like to be involved in the technical aspect and be a part of the technical evaluation. For example, the code process, this code standardization, understanding how some machine learning language, the LLMs and machine learning models, how they work in the background. So if you want to be a manager with ability to technically manage and lead your team and also bring in innovation to your team, this course will be perfect for you. All right, I've got about 1 more minute. We can answer another question. Let's see. Why did we choose Azure over AWS? I mean, this question depends on the partnership and the timing. So Microsoft was ready to work with us. We can also have collaboration with AWS. We have other programs for data engineering, for example, that collaborate with AWS. There wasn't like a choice basically saying Azure is better than AWS. It was mainly because we had to make a choice about one program. And both of them have powerful capabilities, whether it's AWS and Azure. And also keep in mind, Google has its own environment as well. In what way electronics and communications engineer look on AI domain? Very good question. I actually graduated with a degree in electrical engineering, so I can give you my perspective on this one. So for electronics and communication, think about AI helping in system optimization. We're going to be learning about a library called SciPy, which does signal processing and signal evaluation. So you're going to be able to, let's say you were doing a study on signal processing and you have sensors that are embedded in a specific system and you want to analyze the signals. There are techniques we're going to learn about how we can remove the noise, reduce the noise in those signals. So think of it for like, let's say it's a signal for a sensor for temperature, right? Sometimes the temperature has noise because some objects are hotter than the other and so on. But all that to say, we're going to be able to analyze the signal recorded and build machine learning algorithms on top of it to try to understand whether if we were trying to make a prediction, we know exactly what we want to predict, or if we want to understand the hidden patterns in the data. So what I'm talking about, these are two different examples of what we call supervised versus unsupervised machine learning. So that will be very beneficial to take your skill set to next level. And I see a lot of new companies, engineering companies, trying to implement AI applications in its workflow. All right, Rasha, do you see any questions you think we can address before we wrap it up?
No, I think you have managed to answer a lot of them. Basil, thank you so much for taking the extra time out. As you're speaking, the questions are still increasing, piling up. So folks, for that, I have shared the email ID on the chat here. In case your question is not answered, even after this webinar, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at askus@simply.net. I'm so sorry, we are towards the end and we had really high attendance for this webinar, and we have managed to answer a lot of your questions, but you can still reach out to us after the webinar as well in case you have any questions, even after I'm answering on the chat as well, as many questions as we have. Now we'll be ending the session. Thank you so much. And I think, Basil, from the response we saw towards enrollment into the Purdue University's Applied Gen AI Specialization program, I think we'll be seeing a lot of them in the upcoming cohorts. Would you like to say something to the audience here before we end the session?
Yeah, I definitely appreciate the participation here and the curiosity you have for AI. You're basically on the right path to improve your career if you're considering AI, because you can see how influential it's becoming to our business, our economy, and governments.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Basil, once again. Thank you. It's always a pleasure hosting you. And for you folks, I'm just sharing the program link with you once again. A lot of you have shared interest towards enrollment. And for folks who have not shared yet, it's okay. You can go and download the syllabus on the link which I've shared, and also check out, and do comparisons, with other programs, with all the things which you are looking for on the chat link which I've shared here of the program. So thank you so much, folks. We'll be ending the session now. And I see a lot of appreciation coming towards you, Basil, on the chat here. So thank you so much once again, folks, for being an amazing audience here. And thank you so much for having a little patience with us. We did exceed it by a few minutes. Now, once I end this webinar, you will get a pop-up by Zoom which says post-webinar survey. For folks who are looking for the webinar certificate for attending this webinar, please put down your full name there. It will ask you for your full name. Please fill that for us. Then only we can send you the personalized webinar certificate for attending this webinar. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for your appreciation on the chat here as well. Thank you. We'll be ending the session. Have a good night, good day, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you.
Thank you.